Start.
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी 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 गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदनन्दन व्रज जन नन्दन यशोदनन्दन व्रज जन नन्दन यशोदनन्दन व्रज जन नन्दन यशोदनन्दन व्रज जन यमुनतीरा 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 वनचारी राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी माधव कुंज बिहारी राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी स्वामी शील प्रभुपाद की जय। इस्कॉन डिप्टी फाउंडर आचार्य शील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजक आचार्य स्तोत्र श्री श्रीमद् भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गौ गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिराज गोवर्धन की जय। गंगा यमुना माई की जय। भक्ति देवी तुलसी माई हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय। All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, always. Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 8, verses 37 to 40. तत्र ददृश विश्वं जगत्स्थाणु च दिश ताद्रिद्वीपावलिगोलं तव्याय अग्निन्दुतारकम् ज्योतिश्चक्रं जलं तेजो नभस्वान् विवद एव च वैकारिकानीन्द्रियाणि मनोमात्रा गुणस्तर्य एतद्विचित्रं सहजीवकाः अभावकर्मशयलिङ्गभेदं नुनस्तनो वीक्ष्य विदारितस्य व्रजं सहात्मानम् अवापसंख्यं शङ्खाम्. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charana Aravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhu. When Krishna opened his mouth wide by the order of Mother Yashoda, she saw within his mouth all moving and non-moving entities, outer space and all directions, along with mountains, islands, oceans, the surface of the earth, the blowing wind, fire, the moon, and the stars. She saw the planetary systems, water, light, air, sky, and creation by transformation of Ahankar. Also saw the senses, the mind, sense perception, and the three qualities, goodness, passion, and ignorance. He saw the time allotted for the living entities. He saw natural instinct and the reactions of karma. She saw desires and different varieties of bodies moving and non-moving. Seeing all these aspects of cosmic manifestation along with herself and Vrindavan Dham, she became doubtful and fearful of her son's nature. But all the cosmic manifestations that exist on the gross and subtle elements, as well as the means of their agitation, the three gunas, the living entity, creation, maintenance, annihilation, and everything going on in the external energy of the Lord, all this comes from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda. Everything is within the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 19, Maya Dikshena Prakriti Suryate Sa Characharam. Everything in the material world, Prakriti, works under his control. Because all these manifestations come from Govinda, they could all be visible within the mouth of Govinda. Quite astonished, Mother Yashoda was afraid because of intense maternal affection. She could not believe that within the mouth of her son such things could appear. Yet she saw them, and therefore she was struck with fear and wonder. किं स्वप्न एतद् उता देवमाया किं वा मद्दीयो बत बुद्धिमोह अथो अमुष्यैव ममार् ममार् ममार्भकस्य यः कश्चनौत्पत्तिका आत्मयोग. Mother Yashoda began to argue within herself. Is this a dream? Or is it an illusory creation by the external energy? Has this been manifested by my own intelligence? Or is it some mystic power of my child? But when Mother Yashoda saw this wonderful manifestation within the mouth of a child, she began to argue within herself about whether it was a dream. Then she considered, I am not dreaming because my eyes are open. I am actually seeing what is happening. I am not sleeping, nor am I dreaming. And maybe this is an illusion created by Deva Maya. But that is also not possible. What business would the demigods have showing such things to me? I am an insignificant woman with no connection with the demigod. Why should they take the trouble to put me into Deva Maya? That also is not possible. When Mother Yashoda considered whether the vision might be due to bewilderment. I am fit in health. I am not diseased. Why should there be any bewilderment? It is not possible that my brain is deranged, since I am ordinarily quite fit to think. Then this vision must be due to some mystic power of my son, as predicted by Muni. Thus, she finally concluded that the vision was due to her son's activities and nothing else. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्. नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने. नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद. हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. मुखं करोति वाचालं मूलं गायति गिरिं यत्कृपातं वन्दे श्रीगुरुजनतां. वंशकल्पतरुश्च कृपा सिन्धुश्च च पतितानां पावनं वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. When Krishna opened his mouth wide by the order of Mother Yashoda, she saw within his mouth. So the Lord over here, the only purpose of the Lord is to give pleasure to his devotees. But because trying to be caught by Mother Yashoda and trying to be chastised by her, to to actually, how should we say, trying to escape from all of that, he's being fearful that she's going to actually chastise him. And in that, He actually bewilders her to see everything which is not to be seen by some ordinary person. Yes. And later on, we can see that she actually forgets what happens and then she moves on. And that is what the purpose of the Lord was, you know. But between all of this, he is showing us and the whole world also that everything is contained in Govinda. Yes. She saw within his mouth all moving and non moving entities, outer space. So, usually, like, it's not like somebody put a TV or screen projector inside Krishna's mouth and now they're just showing what, how it is. Because earlier there was this episode of Sri Krishna, right? Sri Krishna, where they show this pastime and then they show that when she saw in his mouth, then they start, the animated form of, the whole world, the planetary systems, and everything going on in his mouth. And it sounds very simple and straightforward that, she saw everything in his mouth. But actually, that is very bewildering because when Arjuna saw the same thing, when he saw the Virat Rupa of Krishna, he actually could not perceive it and actually could not handle himself. He was very fearful, very fearful, and seeing all of them die. And but over here she's seeing the same thing, but she's not getting fearful for herself. She's getting fearful for her child, and that's why Arjuna actually lost the position of the rasa which he had with Krishna, and he actually took a form of a different rasa. That's why the speciality of Braj is that even if Krishna shows these opulences, there is no bewilderment of the Brajavasis. And that's a very important aspect. Why? Because bewilderment is by the Brajavasis is not happening because the love of Krishna is so deep that actually there is no need, for Krishna to even prove that he's God. They naturally love Krishna. Yes. But for us, it is so important to show us, and that's why the nine cantos of Bhagavatam are there, to show us what is God. What does it mean to be absolute truth? You know, one of my relatives was mentioning that I worship all the gods. And that's why Bhaktivinoda Maharaj, when he mentions all this, that we are not just worshipping a God. It's not one of the gods. It's not that we chose something and now we are going to stick to it. Like we choose an insurance policy and we stick to it forever. And then, we have the pros and cons of this policy and that policy, and then there is comparison, and then we try to choose the best one out of it, which can benefit us. And that's why in general, people will choose like that. Even religion, people will choose, other religions and simpler religions, or which are very straightforward, which make sense. Why? Because they cannot handle how Krishna, how the Supreme Absolute Truth can behave. And then you get another extreme where Mayavadis think that Krishna doesn't exist at all. That is also illusion. Everything is illusion. Now they will become better than Krishna. Yes, they will be the realized one that they are Brahman. Krishna is actually still a step, you know. Once that step is done, they will go beyond that. And I've actually heard this in person by one of my relatives because they practice some other form of, sadhana. They mentioned that, yeah, because of this mercy, in my eyes, like we can compare this with today's words actually. Like, there's so many people out there. One of my relatives was mentioned they have these experiences. They actually came home one day when I was in India. This relative came home and then we knew that they were practicing something else. And she sat when my mom was actually, or I was actually, trying to change the Lord's clothes or, doing some aarti and all. And then they were having a discussion with my mom. And I was sitting over there listening, and then she mentioned that, when I was like, I personally was doing some aarti and all, she was in the back doing some dhyan. And in her dhyan, it felt, No, he is doing the aarti, but the benefit I am getting. She was mentioning this. And then she was saying that I could see Krishna. I could see Krishna. And I was like, this is so bewildering to me. I am doing the aarti. We are giving bhoga to the Lord. We are doing so many things. We are changing the dress of the Lord. And then he's going and giving darshan to the Mayavadis. That is very bewildering. That is more bewildering than seeing, Krishna being the supreme absolute truth. And then I was like laughing, that is that true? Does that even make sense? And then during that time I was reading Bhagavatam. And then the same thing happened again. And then we ignored that part. And her daughter, because they were doing the same thing, she came to me one day and then I was discussing with her, what do you do? Because I was so curious, what are they doing? What are they thinking? Because now we know whatever we know, by Srila Prabhupada's mercy. She mentioned that, actually when I close my eyes and I go in dhyan, I can see Krishna. Yes. And I was like, you actually see Krishna? I'm like, okay, then tell me how Krishna looks like. And then she, you know what she, and then she started saying that, I saw that big light and then big effulgence. And I'm like, okay, you saw effulgence and big light. So, okay, what else did you see? No, I saw the peacock feather, and then, somebody, I'm like, how did he look? What was he wearing? Who was he with? Was he alone? Yes, I saw him alone. And it was so bright that I couldn't see his face or eyes. And then I'm like, then how do you know you saw Krishna? How do you know you saw Krishna? No, but I saw him. I know that he's Krishna. And then I was like, dude, how? And then, we ended the conversation. But then this is how it is so bewildering. When you ask actually very deep questions, like you just cannot, there's no logical sense. Bhagavatam mentions that Krishna is never alone. Yes, that's why we have always a Srimati Radharani, we have the Acharyas, we have the cows, we have, so many things. Initially, when I started going to the temple the first time, and so I showed somebody that, we have, this deity at home and all, and, we try to serve and all. And then they asked that, he looks alone, there's nobody with him. And then he told me the first thing, Krishna is never alone. At least you should have one cow. He's never alone. And I'm like, oh, okay, okay. You take that instruction to your heart. Then, I went to the beef shop, you bought the cow, and then you place it with the Lord. I'm like, oh, okay, okay. Now he's not, alone, something like that. But the aspect over here is that these people are going on saying all these things. You find so many things out there on YouTube. So many things. It is so bewildering. Over here, Yashoda Mai on the same hand, she's seeing Krishna. Yes. But she's at another extreme. These people are on one extreme where they're so dumb and useless that they cannot understand what is Krishna. But over here, Krishna is overwhelmed all the entities in Vrindavan with his love. That even though Krishna might show that he's God, they don't even look at it. You know, they know he's God. No, 1% in the background somewhere, but they don't deal with him as God anymore. Why? Because their love is so much. Radha has mentioned that, with his smile, when he smiles very differently. He's not like, the typical big one and everything. No, it's mithasya, very small, very cunning, very sly, all those shy, and all those elements in his smile. When the gopis look at him, when they reach the rasa dance also, they say that, it is your fault that we are over here right now. It is not our fault. You looked at us. We were looking at you, that's another thing. Then why did you have to reciprocate? You looked at us with those chanchal eyes, those always moving eyes, with those twinkling stars, like, the face or the effulgence on your face. And then the smile you gave us, saying that, yes, I see you. something like that. And with that one smile and one, glance, they all have surrendered their lives on the spot. And then the other people, these Mayavadis come up and these, Pashandis, they come up and then they say that I saw Krishna. You saw Krishna? Over here, the gopis and the Brajavasis and all the people who saw Krishna, Dhruva Maharaj who saw Vishnu, Vishnu Pri. He saw Vishnu, Kardama Muni, all of them, they never lose their focus on Krishna after that. After even once seeing the beauty of the Lord. And this person is saying, no, I saw all the demigods, I saw Krishna. Because they consider Krishna as one of the aspects of the Brahma Jyoti. It's like a big pot. It's a big ego, big false ego. And this is all bakwas. That's why our Acharya spends so much time. Srila Prabhupada spends so much time emphasizing on why Mayavad philosophy does not work. He thrashes left, right, center. And that's why his pranam mantra comes as to be Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshatarine. That's why we are very harsh. At least not in person, but at least in our hearts, we know that this is all bakwas. It doesn't work out. This is actually a made up philosophy. It is not actually true. Whoever, whatever the charisma of that guru might be, Mayavad does not work. And that's why we always say, sometimes we say that, yeah, but they are nice people. So what? They're offenders of Krishna. They're offenders of Krishna. Inside their heart, they have that greatest people with the false ego, whether they are sannyasis or not. Yes, Prabhupada mentions that we respect the ashram. We respect, the austerities they have done. But the philosophy, no, not at all. Because their egos are so big that, that's the last one. Because they don't want to surrender unto anyone. They want to be the one. They want to be the one. And the Buddhists are the other extreme, where they want to be nothing, that the soul does not exist. Remove the soul. You remove the existence of soul, and we are going to be happy. On the other hand, the gopis are there, simple. They know they know and they not don't know at the same time. That's why do we read Prabhupada books? So that we will have rasabhas otherwise. We'll have rasabhas. Why? Because we might start thinking that everything looks the same. So what? They're chanting Hare Krishna also. Yes, in the Guru Vayu temple, we know the temple. The Guru Vayu temple actually is, controlled by the Mayavadis. They're not Vaishnavas. They're Mayavadis. But chant Hare Krishna. No, I was asking somebody had gone to Guru. They will do big, big festival. They will chant Hare Krishna. But ultimately, their goal is to be one with Krishna. uh, To merge unto the Supreme Absolute Truth. That's why externally, we might be devotees. Externally, we might be doing things perfectly, but we still have that consciousness of being controller and enjoyer. And hence, we are also somewhere Mayavadis. Because Prabhupada, initially, when the devotees thought that who are these Mayavadis which Prabhupada is talking about? And they thought Mayavadis is like a bike gang or something. And then the devotees used to get so furious that they are disturbing Swamiji. We need to go and fix this. And they actually asked Prabhupada, who are these Mayavadis? Who are these Mayavadis? We want to deal with them. We will go and hunt them down. Prabhupada started laughing and then he said that actually every one of you is a Mayavadi. The Mayavadi is not externally, the Mayavadi is internal. It's internal. And that's why we read Prabhupada books scrutinizingly, study Prabhupada books scrutinizingly. Why? Because we might think that the other person is a devotee, but without the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we might get caught also in this Mayavad thing. It's very easy, very easy. Why? Because Raghunath Bhatta Goswami is walking towards Jagannath Puri and then he meets Ram Bhakta. And then he's so great, that Ram Bhakta is so great that he actually is actually 24 hours chanting the names of Lord Ram. And because just being by Varna, he was a Shudra, you know. So that's why he was helping Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. He pleaded and pleaded that let me serve you. You are a great devotee, let me serve you. And that's why Raghunath Bhatta Goswami was in his heart, so pleased. And he was so happy and he was so pleased to see this Vaishnava that he was like, I'm so excited. I pay obeisances unto him again and again and again. And they both are spending days together, chanting the names of the Lord, meeting together. And then they reach Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami is hugged by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And very dearly, he's asking, how are you? How is everything? And then Raghunath Bhatta Goswami is mentioning that, there is one more devotee I want you to meet. And Mahaprabhu says, who? I met somebody who was coming, and then Mahaprabhu's face actually becomes grave. He becomes very serious. And he's like, I don't want to. Somehow or the other, he portrays that I don't want to meet with him. You know? I don't want to meet with him. And then Raghunath Bhatta Goswami is confused, like what happened? Mahaprabhu is the reservoir of love for devotees. He can sacrifice himself for devotees, so nicely. But over here he's mentioning that no, what is wrong? Then actually he he is this, and then the discussion started. What happened? Mahaprabhu says, you go and ask him why is he chanting the Lord's names? Why is he doing so much bhakti? And then he actually says that goes to him and he asks that why am I? He says that I am chanting Lord Ram because name of Lord Ram is because I will become with one with Ram. Even though externally he is doing everything what a devotee does, but internally the consciousness is so perverted that they are using bhakti, they are using the Lord to become one with the Lord. So Mahaprabhu did not like it. Mahaprabhu hated it. I think the philosophy, the intention. That's why the Mayavadis actually they will never enter into the into the Golok Vrinda, sorry, into the Vaikuntha planet. Why? Because they don't know anything about the Lord. They will go to Brahma Jyoti and they'll fall down again. Guaranteed. Yes. And hence, we want to make sure, by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, we have to make sure that here Yashoda Mai's bewilderment and the living entity's bewilderment is not the same. You know, she is getting bewildered only and only for the pleasure of Krishna, to serve Krishna. She doesn't even have to think whether she is serving Krishna. Her love is so much, Prabhupada is mentioning, her natural instinct, you know, is to become doubtful and fearful for what? For Krishna's sake, not for her sake. Over here, right now, we are in such a situation that we have to be careful that are we really doing it for Krishna or not, or are we actually fueling our false ego? And that's where all these aspects of Bhakti, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, all these aspects are brought out. Why? To tell us that, it's not about our own endeavors. It's not about whether we can do it or not, whether we can do this or that or not. It's that whether we are actually doing it for Krishna. Even if Maharaj mentions that even a flower plucked, the petals plucked, you know, for Krishna only to make him happy, that this will make him happy. That is much greater than what the Mayavadis are doing out there. Greater tapasya. Why? Because that tapasya is leading them nowhere. But over here, we are cultivating the consciousness that I have to do it for Krishna. I have to do it for Krishna. I have to get up for Krishna. I have to dress him for his pleasure. you know, for his pleasure. Because it is very bewildering when we come to the scene of devotees where we get appreciation. Yes, without devotees, when you don't have anything to do and when you have not come in touch with devotees, at that time, it's like, you know, we don't know whether we know clearly whether we are doing it for the Lord or not. Yes. Why? Because there's nobody to actually look at us. There's nobody to look at it. We don't have to show anyone. You know. In India, that's why my counselor was mentioning that in the US, it's very difficult to practice bhakti. Why? Because you're on your own. You know, you become the senior, you become the great person. Because why? Because there are no great people. You know, there are, obviously, there are many, but compared to India, there are less. So you don't know what is actually right or wrong. You're thinking with your own mind. Yes, with our own mind. And then we start validating. Maharaj was mentioning that our intentions are good. We might start our intentions with good, you know, do it for Krishna and all. But because the ahankar is so big that those intentions get diluted and we start thinking and validate ourselves to every evil we do as good. Yes. For example, one might say, which example to give? One might say that, uh, I'm dressing the Lord, to gain publicity. Yes, I'm dressing the Lord to gain publicity, to show people how I'm a good this or how I feel nice, and then nobody else is like me, and then I'm so great and all that stuff. But I actually might be doing it for that. But what am I validating? I'm saying that no, see, I get up so early, I do this, I'm doing it every single day. How can I not do it for Krishna? How is it possible? Like, I'm doing it only and only, for Krishna. Whole point is that why? Because I cannot even see what is the issue in my heart. Because I'm not an introspective sage. I am just, seeing what externally everybody else is doing, and I have to follow the same thing. Externally, if I do everything perfectly, that means everything is perfect. Yes, I come for Sunday feast, I come for Sunday Mangal. Oh no, I come for Mangalarti, you don't come for Mangalarti, so I am great. Yes. In one way, yes. You know. But the other way, why you are coming because like, oh, see, he doesn't come, that doesn't come. I don't do chanting. He doesn't do chanting. He's not doing his mantras properly. He's not doing this. He's not doing that. But I am doing everything perfectly. So I am great. And then that means I am an advanced devotee. But the thing is that in the heart, so polluted, everybody can see everybody's thing. You know, everybody can see. If you are in little advance, little, and you actually see in your heart the faults which are there in yourself, then the same thing you can see that, oh, everybody's doing the same thing actually. They just don't know they're doing it. And that is more sad. They think they are doing it for the Lord, but actually it is so bewildered because it is not consistent. Why? One time we might do it for the Lord and then try to say that everything I'm doing it for the Lord. No, it's like it has to be consistent. Humility, if you develop humility, that means you have consistent humility. It's not that today I show and tomorrow I will be a rat bag, but yesterday I had shown humility, so today also I'm humble. No, it's not. It doesn't work out that way. Yes. So that's why we have to be careful. We don't get bewildered by our own full of ourselves, too full of ourselves that, I am doing so great and there is no need. I don't need devotees. I don't have to take feedback from devotees. I don't have to think about what I'm doing and not doing. I can do whatever I want because I am a great devotee, because I've been in the temple for 100 years. No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The false ego is so big that we might be just doing it because of the false ego. Very important. Very important. Yes, so we have to be careful. Balram Jayanti is coming tomorrow, and that's why Balram, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, actually tells us how to serve Krishna. No ego, and he's like Adi. He's the Adi Guru. He actually crushes all of our egos and everything. So we pray, Lord Balram, that actually may he shower us with that mercy to see our faults, to see our own faults, not everybody else's faults, to see my own faults first. Do not try to work on them nicely. Yes, to become greater than that. And then, yeah, everybody else, anyways, you're going to see them. It's like there is no end to that fault finding. Yes. So that's why we pray to Lord Balram that let me see my own faults and try to work on them nicely so that I can please Krishna. Because if I see others' faults, fine. But if I'm pondering on them for a very long time, he'll not go back home back to Godhead. That's fine. Why do I care whether he goes back home back to Godhead? But I should go, right? Finding his faults and being bewildered by them, and then I also remain in the same position. So we both are going to be here. Rather, let me work on my own thing. Let him do whatever he has to do. I'll go back home, back to Godhead. And the Lord will take care of everybody else, right? So we have to be very sure what are we doing it for. Yes. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Tagore Premanande. Thank you very much.